You're listening to the Slow Ride Podcast. Bikes, advice, and rumors straight from the source. TheSlowRidePodcast.com and on Twitter at TheSlowRidePod. Enjoy the ride.
Hello, and welcome to the 65th episode of the Slow Ride Podcast. And due to popular demand, all three of us are back. This is Tim Hayes, a.k.a. Coach Tim in Orlando, Florida, where I'm fresh off a monorail pub crawl.
Hey, that's so frightening. This is the little guy. I'm in Midland, Michigan, where I'm was playing video games with my family.
That's pretty sweet, little guy. And this is Spencer Howe, your third co-host. I am fresh off a weekend of brapping at the Boston Rebellion UCI mountain bike races that are happening here this weekend.
Can we please not talk about mountain bike racing, but instead talk about my awesome monorail adventure today? Guys, I hit all three resorts, and I Strava'd it the entire time. Pretty sure I'm the KOM
Wait. Hang on. Now, everything I know about monorails is from the one that I've been on that's not at an airport, goes from, I don't know, location A to the Space Needle in Seattle, and that's it, like back and forth. And it's a one-stop shop. Amazing. I thought they were all one-stop shops.
The monorail.
Pretty much.
Okay, anyways, I know not everyone wants to talk about monorail hour, but there's a lot to discuss. I know there's big mountain bike racing up in New England, where some friends of the podcast were there, and Spencer, I know you got to talk to a few of them.
Yeah, but we're not.
Then also,
talk about that.
Let's not doubt that the Tour de France is here, and little guy, you can't see me right now because you're going off your phone, which is amazing that it's working anyway.
It's blowing mine.
Text message straight now. Hey, I was telling my friend Graham of the podcast. I said, hey, Graham, we're recording the podcast right now. And he says, oh, no, this should be awesome. Tell little guy I miss him and sorry for ever doubting him. And I love his Greenway stories.
Thanks, Graham.
Oh, good.
I didn't know he doubted me, but that's nice.
He doubted me. He said that last episode he was like, I thought I really didn't like little guy, but I actually missed him.
That's nice.
So, guys, where do we want to start? Want to start with some mountain bike racing and then get into the tour? Because that's going to be the majority of the show.
Sure, yeah. Let's knock this out quick because I'm still coming down off my mountain bike high. You guys, I brapped it, I hucked it, I sent it, and I got rad. That's the end of my report.
Those aren't words.
Rock Garden?
Spencer,
I got to be honest. I sent you a text message the other day, and you didn't respond to me, but I don't know if I really know you anymore, because there's a lot going for you. You're racing bikes, mountain bikes. You have a job that you seem to enjoy. And, pretty awesome people there in Boston, and it's just not the Spencer we know.
Yeah, I didn't reply to your friendly text message because it seemed like a setup. This is out of character for Tim. He usually sends me snarky text messages. So
no, it was like seriously legit. So, anyways, tell us a little bit about the Boston Rebellion.
The Boston Rebellion. So it's a first year UCI race here in Boston. They've been doing races there for a while, but I did a quick interview with the promoter to see what his story was and get some background on the event and actually get some really low down and dirty information out of him about the things that really matter. If you guys want to hear that, I can roll the tape.
All right, let's listen.
Roll it.
Right now. Introduce yourself.
My name is Pete McLeod, the race promoter at the Boston Rebellion Pro XCT.
Awesome. What inspired you to bring a race of this level to the Boston area?
Kind of bummed out on how things kind of died down here. So I wanted to bring it back to the glory days of the past and bring some top talent back to the East Coast.
All right. So you a mountain biker, a roadie, or somewhere in between?
I'm definitely a mountain biker.
All right. Yeah. So who's going to win the Tour de France?
I don't even know who's still in it.
Dan Timmerman in here.
I know a bunch of guys like broke bones and crashed, and there's a huge wreck, and somebody wore the shirt in the hospital. But that's all I know. That's the last I've seen.
How about more importantly, Among the three hosts on the show, Spencer, Matt, and Tim, whose team is going to win in Velo Games?
Tripling up, actually. So
Tim.
she broke her chain in the
What?
women's race on the first
Yeah,
lap.
I
can
know.
edit this.
I know. So, let me just say Spencer.
She will line
Sounds
up here
good,
along
sounds
with
good.
the elite men.
All right.
Watch out, gentlemen.
So it looks like a super successful weekend. Tons of people here hanging out. We're about to see the short track pro men's race start. It's been a good weekend for you?
Yeah, it's been good. Yeah, we're already in for next year. So we're just waiting to hear back which date we got and whether we're going to be HC or C1.
Nice. So you were a sponsor of one of our 16th place contests earlier. How much of a role do you think that played in the UCI's decision to give you C2 designation this year?
Oh, it's completely based on that. There was no way we would have got it without it. And definitely from all the press and everything that we got on the show, on the podcast, was definitely why this is this big.
Well, we're happy we can help.
Oh, thanks.
Play a small part of this weekend.
Perfect.
Yeah, congrats. It's been a great event.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Well, that was real insightful. So,
Yeah.
I thought you would like that.
yeah.
I liked it.
I'm going to
it's-
have to do a little editing to make it sound, kind of flow better, because there's a part in the middle there that I don't... You seem like maybe you weren't listening, but...
It's all right. Well, we know this. We know the gentleman because, he's sponsored the podcast before with the
That's
16th
true.
place. But let's be honest. All I really care about is Ryan Woodall. Because Ryan Woodall, the national cyclocross champion, Masters 30-34, from Florida,
Hero.
made his way up there. And he
Florida
beat Jeremy
hero.
Powers. He beat Jeremy Powers. He's the hero of Florida cyclocross. And I know he was there. Did you get to talk to him?
Of course I got to talk to him. I knew no podcast would be complete for Tim Hayes without a little Woodall action. I did want to make a sign that said no Woodalls allowed and put it up in the woods somewhere, but I did not get a chance, and I'm really regretting it.
My favorite thing about Ryan is that every event that we put on at Swift Cycle at Gainesville, we just say no Woodalls allowed because we don't like getting second place. That's the problem here.
Yeah, well,
But he's a good guy.
you should come up to the Boston Rebellion because he did not get the win up here. He performed pretty well, though. We'll talk about his race a little bit here in this interview that I'll play, and we'll see what he has to say about the tour as well. All right, Ryan Woodall, we're here at the Boston Rebellion Pro XCT race. Welcome to Boston.
Hi, thank you. It's good to be up here.
Nice. How'd your race go yesterday?
I went pretty good. I forgot, or at least my legs forgot, that it was 5 laps instead of 4. So for the first 4 laps, I was comfortably up in the group between 3rd place and 8th place, and right there in the mix. And we came through, and they gave us the 1 to go. And I, for some reason, forgot how to pedal and ended up 9th. But I'm happy with that.
All right, pedaling seems important. So who's going to win the Tour de France?
Well, I'm not there, so obviously that takes me off the list. I think it's going to come down to either Contador or Froome. I think those are the two. I want to say TJ, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm impressed. You're a mountain biker, but you actually know some roadie names.
What? Wait, we're talking road racing?
Yeah. So back to the race, did you? I'm learning about mountain biking this weekend. Did you send it?
I send it. I got boosty. I brapped a couple of times.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
Nice.
gnarly.
That sounds pretty rad. Cool, dude. Well, thanks for chatting with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You know what I like about that interview,
Ah.
Spencer? You know what I really like about that? Is that he doesn't mention Colin Reuter or Results Boy. It's just a fantastic interview. He doesn't care about his own results. So great job, Ryan. It's good to have you. Now, my favorite thing about Ryan is that he's like a regional stud or regional star, right? Like he can go to any race in the Southeast and win, and everyone knows who he is. And he's actually the quintessential type of racer that sponsors should be behind, in my opinion, because every mountain biker in the Southeast is like, oh, there's Ryan Woodall. Like he shows up to races in Georgia, South Carolina. They know who he is. Robert Marion is another similar beast of the scene, especially
The
with
Southern
cyclocross.
Wilds.
Is there anybody up in New England that pulls this off?
So yeah, we actually have a guy up here that's he's a pretty well liked fella from what I understand. Goes by the name of Tom Sampson, and
Goes by the name? Like that's not his name?
I don't know. That's how I know him.
Does he have a mustache?
Is this like when Vandenbroek or whoever was racing with Tom Buden's license?
No, that was
You know, Tim
that-
Hayes also signed up as
It's
Tom
VDB.
Boonen. at Jingle
VDB.
Cross one year.
When Tim Hayes
Yeah.
signed up as Tom Boonen may have been the greatest moment of my cycling career.
Yeah,
Because that was in the peak Tom Boonen does cocaine
that's true.
time.
Well,
time of his career.
that's a segue for a later part of the episode.
Oh, yeah, we won't get to that yet.
So
anyways,
I talked to Tom a little bit too. You know, the privateer up here in out of Vermont. He crushed it at the UCI race. Finished on the podium in third place behind Todd Wells, who took the win up here. So
Who
that was
brought a podium bike up, by the way? Todd
You know,
Wells.
I thought
I'm
that would
erasing
fly
that
under your
from
radar. I really did think you were going to miss that.
I'm erasing his signature from my messenger bag years ago because of that podium bike, Todd Wells. It's embarrassing.
Well, let me play the Tom Sampson and see if we'll redeem you. Hi, Tom Sampson.
Hey there.
About to race a bike?
I'm about to race a bike.
Cool. It's mountain bikes, yeah?
Yes.
How'd your race go yesterday?
Race went as well as it could have gone. It was
In three
awesome.
words. Can you describe it? No? Did you huck it?
I hucked it. Three words.
Did you send it?
I sent it.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Who's going to win the Tour de France?
The guy
Typical
with
mountain bike, yes.
without the arrow helmet. Whoever's not wearing an arrow helmet's gonna win.
All right. That's legit.
I want one of the Americans to win. The guy, like TJ Van Garderen.
TJ, do you think...
I just read that name on Velo News this morning.
Nice.
It was the only one I could pull out.
Do you think our co-host, little guy Matt Allen, can beat TJ Van Garderen in an arm wrestling contest?
Yes. Have you seen Roadies? They don't have arms.
All right. Thanks for your time.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like a nice guy, but let me tell you something. From what I can tell in that interview, he's not Ryan Woodall.
Well, he did have an exciting prediction. I mean, I thought little guy, I think you would like that he picked you to defeat handily TJ Van Garderen in the arm wrestling competition.
Oh, good. He hasn't even seen my arms. That means a lot.
Well, little guy, you know, we all know that. I mean, you're 3-4 weeks into serious training right now, and if you think about it, Taylor's TJ, is in the midst of his body is being destroyed by the strenuous activity of a Tour de France. So you have the upper hand. You just need some protein shakes.
Yeah, I had a lot of tacos the last 2 days, so it was a lot of beans. So
Okay.
So mountain bike racing seems alive and well. Actually, I will say that the press for this event on Twitter and on Instagram is far superior to any other mountain bike event I've seen the entire year in the United States. And I don't know exactly why that is. Maybe it's just the people I follow, but it seems that there's a lot of steam behind this event versus other events that Bonelli and races out in California.
Well, and part of what Pete was saying is that they're already on the calendar for the UCI next year. They're even looking at moving up a level to the next biggest, next tier level race, and kind of aligning it on the schedule to to entice more people to come. This weekend's tough because it's right before Nationals, and a lot of people were like, "Yeah, I don't know if
Where's
I wanna
Mountain
race."
Bike Nationals?
Mammoth.
Oh yeah,
ooh,
is that West Virginia?
I don't know.
Mammoth.
You notice I did that with there's several.
It sounds
mammoths.
really important.
it's in California.
Well, that's kind of crazy.
California, West Virginia.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
one of the few places
Guys?
one of the few crazy legit places I've ever ridden a mountain bike.
So I will say that the mountain biking is exciting, and as much as I love to talk about mountain biking with you guys,
Let's
and
talk
a lot of
about
people are
something
asking about
we really know.
Yeah, a lot of people. If we want to talk about stuff we really know, let's talk about professional bike racing, because people come to this podcast, even though we weren't reviewed on the Inner Ring website, we are the number
He's got a
one.
bias against us.
We are the number one news source for gossip and rumors straight from the source. And we are at the first rest day of the 2015 Tour de France. And they're already talking about Richie Porte going away from Sky to probably BMC. And we're already talking about where's all of Europe car going to go. There's a lot of talking here. But what really matters is Nairo Quintana put some time into Bali today in the team time trial. And if people break their collarbones when they're wearing the yellow jersey, pretty soon Bali is going to be in the yellow jersey. And I'm very confident that my Velo Games team is going to come out on top. And looking at results, guys, and I'm just going to stop you from talking at all, I am leading the three of us right now in the Velo Games Fantasy Cycling League.
I would like to point that out. Congratulations, Tim. You are leading yet again during the first week of every Grand Tour like you traditionally do. And I am predicting a second week tank, as is also your tradition. So
do you guys
want
to
that?
So, guys, I know that you wanted to review my team, and we haven't, the three of us, been together, and we've talked about this in previous podcasts. So let's go over my three teams. And first off, I have Quintana.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, were you surprised that I picked Quintana?
Not even a little bit.
All right, and then as you chose,
it's a good pick.
I definitely took two other movie star guys to round out the roster. I have Alex Dowsett, not bad, right? Former hour record.
Probably not.
And then I got some
4-point
points movie star guy, Urvedi.
Yeah,
whatever.
That was a weird deep pick. I didn't know if that was actually something.
I have Lawrence
I've never heard
Tendam.
of that guy.
I have Tendam.
He's fallen down a lot.
Yeah, he's gotten me 0 points. I have Zubeldia. Were you guys surprised that I took Zubeldia?
No.
Only in that it's such a poor idea, but I wasn't surprised that you did it.
He's going to get top 10 in the Tour, so it doesn't matter.
That's not true. He's probably already lost an hour.
I have Leopold Koenig. Surprised?
Yep.
No.
Only again because it's not a good idea because he's like, what is he, like fifth in the pecking order at Sky?
No, he's got to be second after Froome. He's higher up than Port.
Oh, yeah.
Port's not even on BMC next year. Or he's not even on Sky. He's going to BMC next year. Speaking of BMC, guys, I took TJ Van Gardner. I took TJ Van Gardner.
Yeah.
So
you did.
This was
I don't know what to say about that.
This was a complicated pick for me. Why would Tim take TJ Van Gardner? And as many of you know, my favorite racers, they tend to every now and then come on hard times. And I was like, I gotta hedge the bets here. I gotta take Quintana.
Taking one for the team.
I gotta want Quintana to win. But just in case Quintana falls down, I got Van Gardner. So I've got polar opposites.
So wait. Is your theory then that your actual next second favorite after Quintana, you don't want them to get injured, so you didn't pick them? Or are you trying to inflict the Super Rookie curse onto Van Gardner?
I don't want the Super Rookie curse to fall onto anybody. However, I wouldn't mind the Super Rookie curse if it was going to fall on someone. It would be the guy that's going to be arm wrestling my buddy. So
it's a strategic pick for the Slow Ride Podcast fame. I see.
And I took Contador, another solid pick. And I took Cavendish for the sprints. And I got to admit, Cavendish...
Pretty generic.
Pretty generic, but I'm pretty happy. It was better than Buhani. It was better than a sprinter that I didn't even know existed that little guy took.
How did you not know who that guy was?
I don't even know. Look. When I look at the
I thought you were a
Hogan's
Eurocar fan.
When I look at the how do you say his name? Cocard?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Great pick there, little guy.
He got a lot of internet fame this week when he stole the FDJ guy's bottle and threw it into the crowd.
That was pretty awesome. Why did he do that? I didn't see that.
I don't know.
I didn't see it in real time, so I assume it was all in fun and they're buddies, but who knows? Maybe he was like, "Hey, screw you," and stole his bottle.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff going on in the Tour this year that I've really been enjoying, and that's listening to Sean Kelly on Eurosport and not Phil and Paul.
Oh my God. I've been stuck watching NBC, and it's the worst.
Oh, there's so many commercials. So I actually put up the Eurosport pirate feed next to the Tour de France NBC Sports feed.
Yeah.
And the amount of commercials on the NBC Sports versus Eurosport, it's like 3. Yeah. It's ridiculous, the amount.
Yeah.
I believe it.
I can barely watch it. Like, it's a minute and a half of riding and then 3 or 4 minutes of commercials. And the minute and a half you get is like not the exciting parts of the races, and it's Phil and Paul blathering on about, Tony Greipel or somebody else that they're screwing up the names of.
Today was the absolute worst. So it's a team time trial anyway, so it's already boring.
Yeah.
And then every time Paul started talking, he was like,
you couldn't tell
it's all about the last 2 kilometers. The last 2 kilometers is where the difference goes, and you're just like, shut up, Paul. Oh, it was bad. But anyways, today was actually a big day because Nibali, I think, pretty much rode himself for the most part out of the Tour.
That's just not true.
No, that's
This
not
is
true.
true.
I mean, yeah, it's not like
They
finished
5 minutes
35
down.
seconds back.
I know. It's,
Yeah, they
but,
didn't
But
lose
here's
that
the
much
thing: is
time.
that like, guys,
doesn't
lost
mean
12
anything.
seconds the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I don't even like. I'm a Quintana fanboy. I don't know if he can make up 2 minutes on Chris Froome. To be honest with you, that's a lot of time.
He can't.
Yeah.
How do you think Peter Sagan sitting in fourth, 38 seconds down?
I think
the
he's
green
got a
jersey.
pretty good shot at the Tour, winning the
You think-
yellow.
Yeah, he's probably racing for GC. You know,
You think
he's probably
You think he's
just.
doing green jersey or white jersey?
I think he's doing yellow jersey.
I think he's probably doing yellow jerseys.
Dude, he's been in
And
the
polka
top
dot.
10 all week.
Dude, he is
Yeah.
30 seconds up on Contador.
Yeah.
So-
See? He's team leader.
I mean,
You
First
guys
week
just
of the
on a
tour,
toad.
basically, first week of the tour is totally weird.
How come
and
Stybar
you can't
won?
really make any judgments about the end of the tour from the first week of the tour.
Stybar.
Yeah, that was exciting. But I want to point out that with this team time trial, did you see how continuing their tradition for 2015, Team Garmin Cannondale sucked it up and finished 12th? Like they
That was-
did terribly. Like
That
where
was pretty surprising.
they used to always
Maybe-
win. Like every team time trial was like, oh well, Garmin's going to destroy everyone. And I know they don't have
You know what?
David
I-
Miller and all these guys, but like, come on.
I know what you're. I know that was sad, but it wasn't as sad as watching the 6-man Orica Green Edge team just like struggle across. They just basically put Sven Tuft on the front, and you were worried that they weren't going to make the time cut. Like it was to the point that you're just like,
What was
They only
awesome
lost
about
3
that?
minutes. This isn't too bad.
They lost 5 minutes, but
5 minutes.
Did they?
yeah.
Oh, maybe.
But
Maybe they
what's-
lost 3 to the next team.
But they lost 3 minutes to Cofidis.
Yeah.
That's how bad it was.
But what was
Yeah,
cool about
that's pretty
that
bad.
is they all 5 stuck together and weren't gonna let homeboy Matthews with the broken ribs like strangle off the back and get time cut, much
Yeah.
like the Cannondale
That's nice.
team did the other year.
Oh, to who? To Ted King.
Yes.
It was just, oh man, the team time trial is tough for me to watch. Like it is a beautiful thing to see, like how guys are, doing the rotation and everything. But there's no excitement because the way that they cover it on the TV, it's like, oh, here's the next time checkpoint, and you're like, they're all wearing the GPS computer systems. Like this should be very easy to calculate who's where exactly every
Oh.
single moment on this course.
Of all the team time trials, this should have been the most exciting to watch with it coming. I mean, it was 62 of a second or something like that. The difference between
Yeah, I know.
Sky and
It's just-
BMC. I mean, but it is a team time trial. I just think, to your point with Nibali, I don't think it actually means anything because, yeah, his team's maybe not quite as strong at riding on flat roads, but it doesn't mean he's not strong.
The only teams it means anything to really are FDJ with Thibaut Pinot and AG2R, who did better
Yeah.
than I kind of thought they would, but both of those teams lost about a minute and a half, and
Yeah, look
Yeah,
at your pick.
that hurts.
JCP is 3.5 minutes behind right now.
which is
That's
probably
okay.
where he was this time last year.
So
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. It is a fun stage to watch. It's just I don't know. I'm ready for Tuesday. I'm ready to get into the mountains. I think that we got a rest day tomorrow, so people are going to be talking about who's going where.
This is Ryan. This is Ryan. This is Ryan Woodall, Florida's first cyclocross national champion. You're listening to the Slow Ride Podcast.
Oh wait, guys. We haven't even talked about
People
Paolini
going
yet.
places.
We haven't even talked about Paolini yet, guys.
Yeah.
Man.
Powderlini?
Guys.
How
So first off, are we surprised that Paolini got popped for cocaine?
He is the biggest hipster in the peloton. Let's just put that out there. He's got the beard.
Yeah.
He's like clowning around on his phone all the time. He looks like a fun kind of guy. And you're always kind of like, how is he always on the ball so much?
He's
And now,
always on the eight
it's
ball.
like one of those things where you're like, oh, it's obvious in hindsight, but
I mean, guys, I'm not surprised. But like I tweeted the other day, if they got Paolini on cocaine, what would they have found on Posado? Because, oh my God. Posado, Boonen, and Paolini were hanging out the night before the tour started in Netherlands, Utrecht.
All they're going to find on Posado is a lot of body oil and glitter.
And no form.
I mean, it's really sad. Honestly, he's 38 years old. There's no more Paolini. And think about what he's done in the last 2 years of Milan San Remo. And little guy, you and I were talking about this offline, that it's not like it was EPO and he can, maybe plead down for a year suspension and just rat out his supplier, right?
Yeah, I won't be able to cut a deal on this one. I mean, they don't care.
Cocaine, whatever.
The tour started in a college town. Yeah. You bought it from some college kid. We all know.
Yeah.
Man.
It's a shame. But who's going to lead out Christoph for every single spring classic next
and that
year?
reminds me of my other awesome Twitter joke that, Katusha really left Christoph behind the 8-ball.
Yeah,
I'll be here all night, all week.
Coach Tim.
Tip the waitresses. Coach Tim. Here.
Coach Tim. Yeah, it's a shame. But maybe the B sample. We still got hope.
We do have hope.
So how many times did the B sample come back and gotten someone up? I know it was because Tyler Hamilton's B sample was accidentally frozen at the Olympics, so he got to keep his gold medal.
Someone might freeze his B sample incorrectly. It could happen. We can hope.
There's been
all the times we want someone to get off of a doping.
I kind of want Paolini to get off here. Come on, cocaine? Who's that hurting?
Well...
seriously, that's not like cocaine during the race.
Well, we don't know that.
Yeah. Oh, so you're thinking he could have gotten some of that pot Belge, some of that cocaine Belgian mix right in the middle of the stage race, just to get his heart rate going?
Just mix it in. You mix it in the bottle like Scratch Labs or whatever, and
That's why people like those Scratch Labs so much.
It's a good theory, actually.
It's limited edition flavor from Scratch Labs. It's the cocaine. So, all right. So the tour, we got the mountains coming up, and we're going into the Pyrenees. And so the big four, is it really a big five now? Chris Froome's talking about adding TJ Van Gardner into this. So now we've got Contador, Nibali, Froome, Quintana, and then TJ Van Gardner. You think Van Gardner's got an actual chance here to be top five, or do you think that's just classic Eurosport American television market saying, "Oh, we need an English speaker"?
I think he'll be top five. I mean, he's been top five twice now, right? I think he's obviously legitimately top five.
Yeah, I think there's a big five for sure, and I think Van Garderen is in there. You can't leave him out at this point. But I think you are going to have to leave out one of the top four, the original big four, and insert Uran. Because that dude
he is kind of just hanging around
up there, and he is
just hanging around. And let's be honest with TJ, is that TJ has gotten over what hurt him last year, right? Last year was the cobble stage that he got all pissy and this is the worst thing about bike racing. That he's kind of through the tough spot for the most part. Now he just needs to get through the mountains, and so maybe TJ is going to help me out in my Velo Games League. I really hope TJ takes the win.
I think Spencer's right. Me and Spencer talked about this a little last week in our aborted, failed episode. Is that Iran? I think if anyone put him on their Velo Games team, it's a super secret pick because he's really come through. Where didn't know what to expect.
I mean, there's still other guys,
he looks legitimate.
There's still some other guys that can be in the. I mean, we haven't even talked about Molima with Trek Factory Racing and guessing.
Yeah, he's 7th.
I mean, both those. He's
8th.
Those dudes are top 10.
They are top 10, but it's who. Which Robert Yasink is this? Is this the Yasink who 2008, 2009, who we thought was going to be a legitimate tour contender, or any Grand Tour, or is this the guy who's been around the last 3-4 years since his dad died, who's outside the top 10 and gets sick every race?
True.
I don't know. It's hard to know.
All I want out of this tour is for Valverde to fall out of the top 10. That's. Really, it's a victory for me if that happens.
Well, there's that too, man. Valverde could be the real sleeper for Movistar.
You know what was pretty cool was little guy we were talking about this the other day. It was the guy that won from AG2R. That entire story of the guy that won the stage the other day for AG2R. Classic bike race story there.
Yeah, and I haven't even had to like confirm what I feel like I heard somewhere, but that he got a ride on AG2R just because he had a private sponsor who was willing to like foot the bill for his wages.
Inner Ring was talking about this the other day. Like he's got like a couple college degrees. He's an entrepreneur, and he has a financial backer that was a former bike racer that called up AG2R and said, "Hey, you need to add this guy to your team. I'll pay his wages." And AG2R is like, "Sure." And now he has a Tour de France victory. Like a stage win. How awesome is that?
Yeah, it's a pretty good roll of the dice they got for a guy that they obviously didn't know anything about when he was brought to them.
Because he was on what was the team the other day? The Souyard Jal team or whatever?
Yeah, Sorjon or whatever. Yeah, the team, one of the French, small French teams that folded in the last few years. So
yeah, I mean, it's pretty awesome that, here's a guy that didn't even have a contract that's getting someone to pay for him. And now he wins a stage for AG2R, which is my favorite team in the Tour.
It's our favorite. I was bummed I didn't get to watch that stage.
It was pretty cool because that stage was awesome because Nibali got dropped. And Froome led kind of the group across, but then Sagan was there the whole time.
That's awesome.
So,
anyways,
nice. So what else we got going on, guys?
Well, we had as Little Guy alluded to, we had recorded an episode without you, Tim, just me and Little Guy, which I know the fans would love.
Would have loved it, but
we had some technical failures, and we didn't get it. But Little Guy did have some Greenway stories, so I know that people are pretty excited about those. So they actually never made it out to the public.
Oh, there's another Greenway story?
I hadn't even remembered. I got two from the same ride. One is that this guy on the Tuesday night ride heading west, like a big group on the trail.
Tuesday night tough guy ride.
Tuesday night tough guy ride, and this guy ended up kind of jumping in with the group. On a late 90s full suspension mountain bike, just with bibs on, no shirt or anything, and no tan lines.
Harry back?
So, yeah, oh definitely, no tan lines. So this was like an outfit that was regularly done, and he decided that he had to go faster than the group. He just had to go faster than the group, and we're not going super fast, but it's one of those things, you're in the group and there's always these few people that are like, well, this group's going 20, 21 or something, and I gotta go 22. So he had to jump in front of this group of 12 of us and lead us out on the Greenway, arrow tucked on the full suspension mountain bike. So he was pacing us real nice and fast, and as he did that, a rider with more expensive stuff than obviously skills decided to pass us, and he had to get past us and beat us to the next stop sign, and he did, and then he promptly couldn't unclip and fell over.
Did you laugh or did you wave at him?
I giggled. It was pretty funny.
At what point, Spencer, maybe you can be the maybe we need to crowdsource this. Mm-hmm. Do we wave, or because we say at the end, wave at your fellow spandex wearing, nerds, right? The people that are riding with us and on the road. Do we wave at someone that's just wearing bibs?
No, we don't.
I think you definitely wave.
I think
that's like a backwards helmet. That's joy. That's the best thing.
You don't want to acknowledge it. You don't.
I'm thinking if you're just wearing bibs without a jersey,
it's like seeing a unicorn. You don't want to startle it.
Okay. So okay, rules.
I don't want to scare. I don't want it to be scared away.
So
I want it to be accepted.
So in the 10 Commandments of the Slow Ride podcast,
sure.
If you see someone with a backwards helmet, if you see someone with the bibs under the bib straps, if you see someone just wearing bibs without a jersey, we're not supposed to say anything. We're just supposed to enjoy it, and we move on and just embrace. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you're on a group ride and maybe you see someone that's maybe not wearing a helmet or with aero bars on the group ride or something, you just kind of mention to them hey, you probably shouldn't be doing that on this ride. You take it with a helping hand because we don't want to be the total elitist podcast. We got to help.
Thanks for coming out. It's rad that you're here. Next time we don't usually do this, but FYI.
So we're drawing the distinct line that if you're wearing a backwards helmet, bib straps over the jersey, or no jersey,
you're not on the group.
We're making fun of you. Where there is no wave, there is.
No, see, I don't think those things. What you just mentioned, I don't think I would mention those if I was with somebody.
Right.
But if somebody showed up onto a ride, I was like going on like to come on the ride, I would probably tell them to put their helmet on correctly, like the correct direction. But if they didn't have a helmet, that's fine. I don't care if they have a helmet, but if they have it, I want it to be on their head the correct direction.
Yeah.
And I would probably tell them that the jersey goes over the bibs.
So this guy couldn't clip out of his pedals and tips over in front of you. And that
It was pretty funny.
reminded me...
Not just me, like a group of 12 that he had to just pass.
That he had to blow
what I
past.
think really he makes it is that he was like, he had to be past us.
Did you go up next to him and be like, Shimano's. That's what you get. And then just keep riding.
But as he stood up,
Did
he
he-
said, well, that hurts.
Did he scuff his Rafa shorts or what?
He might have scuffed his Rafa shorts.
Yeah. So that reminds me of, everybody has to start somewhere. And maybe this guy jumped the gun a little bit by getting the Rafa shorts and everything. But,
You gotta start somewhere. I mean,
some of my
start comfortable.
Some of my first rides ever on clipless pedals were maybe not the smartest idea.
Yeah, we've all been there. We've all tipped over.
We have a lot of rides that weren't the smartest idea. Like when we all wore jeans on our first long road ride.
Yeah, that was
Like, I'm not wearing spandex. I'm going 60 miles in jeans. Fixed gear. Woohoo!
Right. Well, I started learning how to ride clipless pedals in winter in Minneapolis on a fixed gear bike with no brakes, being a messenger downtown. So that didn't end well. Several times that didn't end well. But yeah, you got to start somewhere. So good for that guy, I guess.
Yeah, it's true.
Typically,
I want to make fun, but it happens to
Right.
everybody.
Typically, you
I've done it too.
tip over. Those 12 guys see you. They say, "Oh, hey, thumbs the brakes," and that's it. Nobody remembers it. The 12 guys don't remember it. He eventually forgets about his embarrassment. Usually, it's not recorded onto a podcast. It goes out to thousands of people.
Thousands.
So unfortunately,
Especially during
for
the tour
this
rest
guy,
day.
he's pretty screwed. But most of the time, we all just start somewhere, so it's fine.
Yeah.
So, like, now that we're like 20 minutes, 30 minutes into this podcast, I think now is like when the people that were listening to this podcast just like, oh, it's tour rest day. I don't know what I'm going to do in my cubicle. Oh, I'll just listen to podcasts. Like Google, Soul Ride. That sounds amazing. They probably turned it off at this point.
No, maybe. I mean, they don't have anything else to do, and it is the rest day. I mean, there's not a lot of things to pay attention to.
Anyways, guys,
What are you going to watch the news?
We did get two
That's no
reviews. So we got 2 5-star reviews. I'll read the first one. We'll read the second one later. On July 8th, it was, don't be that guy that doesn't give this podcast a shot.
Oh!
Slow Ride Podcast is what you'd want your podcast to be if you had a podcast on cycling. Unscripted, genuine, and mostly funny. Except maybe some of the parts from The Little Guy. Entertaining perspectives on racing and bike culture. Worth a listen. That was from Okay, but could have been better. I don't know the name. So look, it's okay. I think that they're just joking around with you. They're just pulling your chain.
It could have been.
Okay.
Little Guy is quickly
any
like the
chance-
most hated man on the podcast. But
Any chance that this was Graham before he listened to an episode without Little Guy?
maybe
Though?
the thing is here though is that of all the people that like gets the most flack on the podcast, you don't expect it would be Little Guy. But everyone seems to be like, well, Little Guy, does he like anybody? Like, he's so sarcastic. He hates everybody. I'm like, I'm not the heel here. Most people would be like, I hate Tim.
Now, my theory is,
get him off the podcast.
everybody hates Tim, so that goes without saying, and everybody loves Spencer, so that goes without saying. So the real controversy is over whether or not you like Little.
All right, and the last review that we got, this one's good.
Debate here.
Little Guy, this review comes from TJ Van Garderen's arm wrestling coach.
Oh.
Best cycling pod out there. The hard-hitting industry insider news and views make for great listening. Now, if you just focus a bit more on fat bike gravel grinders, I think the podcast would be perfect. Keep up the great work, and the amount of homework done between shows is noticeable and appreciated.
Uh-oh. That is an underhanded dig.
That may be the most Minnesota nice podcast review possible. I really like your guys' podcast. It's horrible.
Clear you've been reading a lot between weeks. Yeah. Uh-huh. Good.
Yeah, anyways,
great.
We basically
Sounds
just
I like
run
that.
off Greenway stories and old Messenger's tales.
Yeah.
So, all right, are we still on track for Tour de France? And who's going to win? So, Spencer, one weekend, who do you got to take the title?
I want to still say Contador, but I really don't think it's going to happen. And I refuse to say Froome.
I think Froome's just looking too good right
But
now, guys.
I even more refuse to say TJ, so I'm really in a pickle here.
I really think Froome's looking too good. Trust me, I want Quintana to win.
Yeah.
If anybody has a chance to take on Froome, it is going to be Quintana. I don't think Contador is going to be able to respond so many days through in the mountains. But
I kind of agree with you.
Froome is looking good. And the only reason I think Quintana can pull it off is that he's going to do some crazy attacks. And that if Quintana doesn't win, Quintana will finish like 7th, 8th place.
I think he'll be on the podium. I think Nibali is going to do some crazy attacks and finish 7th.
Is got the flair.
I want him to be up there, but I think he's going to go big, and then he's going to crack big.
Any surprises, like little guy though, like some Estonian that we don't know about that might be in the top 10? Man. Some guy that we're gonna be like, oh yeah, I remember that guy. Then when he gets busted 3 years from now, like who's gonna be the?
I just think the surprise is gonna be Iran in that. I mean, we all knew he was a good GC rider, and we all knew that he could be up there in a race like the Tour. Obviously, he's been up there in the Giro, but that he wasn't on anyone's radar coming into this race. You know, he was just sort of written off, and then then it was like, oh, he's on the start list, and he wasn't talked about, and he's still barely being talked about. I mean, like you read all the cycling press, and it just talks about the big four, and then the TJ, and you forget that there's a guy that's been second twice in the Giro there. You know, a guy who was pretty close to Quintana. In the Giro last year, and now he's in the Tour, and seems to be in good shape, and he's barely getting mentioned in the same
Why do you think he's not getting mentioned? Is it because he was at the Giro, and people are just like, oh, we kind of knew he was there, and he didn't perform well at the Giro, so therefore...
I do. I feel like people... I feel like generally cycling journalism, especially places like Cycling News, have a pretty short attention span when it comes to people have a bad race and they sort of disappear for a little bit and they get written off. Like the narrative, especially with like non-English speaking writers, the narrative
there's so many
is like they had a bad race.
Flashes in the pan, you know, like you get so many. You're going to be the next Grand Tour guy, and then they fade away really fast. That if you have 2 good seasons and then you start to have a bad one, it's like, oh, yep, write him off. He's not going to be the next big guy, you know.
Pino's not around anymore.
Yeah.
I
mean, there have been a lot of like flash in the pan. I mean, think of even like which one. Like, I can't even remember which one of the Velets brothers finished on the podium at the Volta. Like 4 years ago. Like, and obviously, like he finished on the podium in the Volta. Like that doesn't just happen, you know.
Or your
you have to have some good
Volta winner.
Kobo, I can give you the narrative. Kobo was consistent. He had some problems, but he was consistently good. It wasn't a total flash in the pan.
No.
Yes, I know what you're saying. He was a flash in the pan that he got it together one time.
So
you know.
So Iran being the story, sure, I agree. I think that could be a surprise, but really it's not a surprise, and I think you guys totally hitting it on point.
I don't think there's any surprise in this race. There's too many. Going in.
It still is exciting.
Too many credible GC riders that there's no.
Well, and talk about credibility, little guy. That stage 2 days ago when the AG2R rider won it, and you see Froome kind of attacking, like there was not enough room for some of these guys. Like Dan Martin said that, like, oh, I got boxed in, and Dan Martin gets like second, right, 5 seconds down, and like he's like, oh, I got boxed in. Well, look at who boxed him in. It was like the entire top 10 of riders in the world. I mean, they were all there. It was pretty exciting to see.
Well, it's true. It's like what we said earlier. I mean, like looking at this start list, somebody who usually goes into a Grand Tour and would be upset if they finished outside the top 5 and super bummed if they finished outside the top 10 is going to end up like 16th. You know, I mean, it's like there's so many good GC riders that even like the regular like people who could challenge top 10 at the Volta are like top 20 here at the best. You know.
So off your top of your guys' head, do you guys know who's in the Lantern Rouge in last place right now at the Tour de France?
Man, is it Michael Matthews? I have no idea. It is
Michael Matthews. He's an hour and 16 minutes down. He's 3 minutes down on Alex Dowsett, who's in 184th place. So
I'm surprised at that.
Thumbs up or down, guys, on the Tinkoff Saxo camouflage jersey.
Down. Really far down. I hate everything. Boo. Everybody write in how mad they are that I hate everything.
I'm not a big fan on that one. I agree. I will say that, you know what kit I'm actually becoming more of a fan of, and I kind of am embarrassed by this, but I like the tasteful use of high-vis green, and that's the Katusha kit with the how they use the Katusha uses the high-vis green booties on the shoes. Just the perfect amount of high-vis green. It's actually kind of cool.
Because they look like a high-vis Christmas tree?
Yeah, like it's just like, it's tastefully done. I kind of like it.
Wait. Did you just equated high-vis anything and a Russian team with tasteful?
Yeah. I
Wow.
understand the irony here.
Yeah, interesting. And this is the same team that just had a rider test positive for cocaine, right?
Classy. Very, very
Classy.
much so. Yeah.
Real upper crust thing. Okay.
Well, guys, I don't really have.
Do you know that Katusha has a caviar sponsor?
No, they don't.
I guarantee you can find the pictures on the internet of like multiple of their riders like eating the caviar, posing for little photos with their caviar sponsor. They're sponsored by like a bunch of like Russian companies all rolled into one monster. Caviar.
So are they like Astana, but JV, like JV Astana at this point? Like it's just like put in, like because we kind of like no one really hates on Katusha the amount of that we hate on Astana, but they're just as bad. Like they kind of
no.
They are, but how can you call them JV? Look at all the stuff they won this year.
Yeah,
I know, but they're JV and like. I mean, Astana, everyone's talking about like, ooh, Vinokurov, Lars Boom, like there's lots of dirtiness going on, and then like. Katusha, it's like, yeah, you got cocaine, but whatever. Joachim Rodriguez is going to go out there and win the stage.
Yeah, I think Katusha's doing it right. Like they're pulling off all the wins, and they're like kind of a shady, weird team. They're run by Ekimov, for God's sakes, and we're not talking about them for the most part. Like everyone's concentrating, like you said, on Astana and all their like misdeeds. The thing is, Astana's just like sloppy with half this crap.
Weird guys with misdeeds, like Howard Akovitz of BMC, Jim Akovitz or whatever.
Yeah,
that's the former director of USA Cycling, has gotten off on like all this, and now he's like, oh yeah, he's just running the team, and you're like, that's how's that even possible?
Actually, brings up something in the article I read today on Cycling News about the team time trial. It had a line that stuck out to me, jumped out, where it said TJ Van Garderen looked set to become the first American to wear the yellow jersey in the Tour de France since Floyd Landis. And I was like, whoa, that's interesting. And then I thought about it for a second more, and I was like, oh, Floyd was on Phonak. And I was like, wait, Phonak just turned into BMC. And I was like, wait.
Same team.
Oh, my God. And it was like this weird moment of clarity that I hadn't really thought about. And
yeah.
Hey, so we haven't really talked about this, but what do you think Floyd Landis is doing right now? Because he's got like a multi-million-dollar payday, like around the corner. I'm sure it's going to be delayed for like 3 or 4 years.
It's going to be delayed for a long time.
What do you think? Like, you think he's riding bikes at all? Like, we got to be able to get a Floyd Landis video, right?
I think he bought.
He's not riding.
I think he bought a fur coat.
A fur coat.
And a Lincoln.
And a Lincoln. So he's just Matthew McConaughey, just like rolling around the city.
Maybe. I'm thinking he probably has a beard because it's pretty in style. And he's just like,
you think he showed up on group rides though? Like honestly, I have this vision. Like, how awesome would it be if like Floyd Landis is like, screw it, I'm gonna go to the group ride in Tulsa. And he just shows up to Tulsa, and he's like,
I'm thinking
he's got a Kawasaki motorcycle and he's out in the woods.
Yeah, if he rides bikes at all, he's like went into downhill or something just weird, like where he can just be Floyd,
guys, how awesome would it be if just Floyd Landis showed up on your group ride? Like, just kind of the weird guy. Maybe he has long hair. And, a beard. He's got some, like, braided beard, maybe. I don't know. Just hanging out. And you're like, oh, who's this guy? And he's just on the front hammering it. And he's drinking, like, 16 water bottles. Oh, it'd be awesome.
Just pouring one over his head, though, every 10 minutes.
Every 10 minutes.
The thing about Floyd, though, that I think is still funny, and this obviously is not new information, but that he is like, yeah, I did all this stuff. I did the blood bags, I did the EPOs, I did everything. I did all the shit that you could do. But the shit they busted me for on that day, on that stage, I didn't do that.
Yeah, no, that is kind of weird.
To this day, is still like, But guys, seriously, I didn't fucking do that.
I like how he's like, I know I have zero credibility, but seriously, like that one, and then it makes you believe it even more. Like
It does.
yeah. Like they really
Maybe
just went
that's
after
the
him.
logic. Yeah.
Conspiracies, man. Bush did 9/11.
Yeah, well, Tyler Hamilton's twin is my favorite cyclist. So, anyway, guys, awesome time. I'm happy that we finally got to get together to do this. We hope to do a couple more of these during the Tour de France. This is always our most listened to episode. We'd like to thank all of our listeners, especially those that tweet us at the Slow Ride Pod. Lots of tweets, too many to even mention this week. But lots of pictures, people adding us, thinking of us about, for example, when Tony Martin was the 16th ever yellow jersey winner to retire during the race. Lots of cool things getting pointed out to us. So that's always cool. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
And then also subscribe to us on iTunes. Leave us a review. It helps us in our rankings and getting more listeners. We were at one time the number one podcast on the amateur charts, but we've slipped down to like number 84 at this point. But we are beating Fat Bike Radio. And most importantly, the number one thing that we can say to anybody that's out there riding their bikes is, you know what? Just wave to the other spandex-wearing clown that's on the other side of the road. I mean, to me, that's pretty important. I always try to wave. So just do that because you don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
You don't. One important reminder, 16th stage is coming up.
Oh,
We do have a
that's right.
contest going for the 16th place on the 16th stage of the Tour de France, so tweet us your picks. Don't forget to use the hashtag 16th place because it auto-populates the spreadsheet, and I don't want to have to do more work than I have to.
Yeah, you got to use the hashtag. Auto-populates the spreadsheet. So, little guy, what to you are you looking forward to the most in the next week at the Tour de France?
I don't know. Hills. Just hills.
Just hills?
That's all. Hills. I just want to see people go uphill.
I am I can't wait to the motor. My favorite scene is when the motorcycle is zooming in at the numbers of the riders falling off the back of the climb. When when more and more people are getting popped off the back. I don't care who it is. The first person that's going to be popped off the back that will be of notice will be like Zednik Stybar because he's still sitting in the top 10. And then you'll see, some of these other guys that you're like, there goes Kwiatkowski because he's a world champion. So of course they're going to zoom in on him. But the biggest thing I'm the most excited for is the Thomas Voeckler tongue as he searches for a new contract in 2016. This week is the week that it happens.
I gotta say, one of my favorite things of just reading the cycling news live feed while I was at work last week and stuff was one time they just wrote like when Tommy Voeckler attacked for the first time in the Tour, and it just said Tommy Voeckler's first attack of the Tour. Yeah, and that was like one of my favorite moments. It's just like, oh, good. I know he's in there. I hadn't done anything. I'm glad he's still giving it a go.
All right.
Yeah, he should be attacking in this next week.
How about you, Spencer? What are you looking forward to this week?
So I'm looking forward to some crazy Alberto Contador attacks, which I think are coming. But even more so, I'm looking forward to some really, really crazy Nibali descending. It's going to be outrageous.
We haven't even talked about it, and I know that we just did the outro, but real quick.
He's going to push through.
As much as I want Nibali to win, my biggest fear is that Nibali is going to be able to outclimb these guys, but he's not going to be able to descend with them. So, like, even if he has a 1 minute gap, Quintana. Sorry, even if Quintana has a 1 minute, 1.5 minute gap over some of these mountains, the descent down in, especially on stage 16 into gap.
He's not a bad descender. I know he lost once on a descent, and that's made you really fearful. But like, he's not Nibali. But like, none of these guys are going to be able to descend with Nibali.
Yeah. Sure.
Though you know what bodes well is the way Bardet was descending at the Dauphine.
Who was the guy?
He was rocking it. Yeah.
Who was the guy from Barlow World? Remember Barlow World? Who's the guy that fell off the side of the mountain?
Oh,
remember that? That was pretty awesome.
Jean-Lee Augusta. Yeah,
what happened to him?
I think he got popped for something. Just look it up.
How sad is that? That's our default answer. So, anyways.
We could end it on that, and I'm probably wrong, but I feel like that's what.
Thanks for listening to the Slow Ride Podcast, and we'll wrap at you next week.
All right.
Okay.
Till next week. Don't do that again.
The Slow Ride Podcast. Bikes, advice, and rumors straight from the source. TheSlowRidePodcast.com and on Twitter at TheSlowRidePod.